Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
When I was his roommate, anytime he spilled something or I spilled something, he would, from the other room, just go, "My cabbages!"
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. And today, we are going to dive into the Peabody and Primetime Emmy Award-winning animated series, that's right, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Wow. Now I want to do a Captain Planet episode after you said that.
Yeah.
With our powers combined.
All powers combined. But before we get into that, I am one of your hosts, Ali.
My name is Tom. Also, you're welcome, Josh.
I'm Corey. You're welcome, Josh.
And I'm Josh. You're welcome, Josh. No. And
Why are we saying thank you? Why are you saying welcome?
And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. You get early access to merch. You get discounts on merch. You get access to channels on our Discord server that are only for you to talk directly to us and to other members of the Nerd On Nation. You also get what we call the Nerd On Nudge for our other weekly show, the Nerd On Update. There's lots of fun perks with the Nerd On Nation, and we can't express our gratitude for the nation enough because the nation helps us to grow and to be the best that we can be, to continue creating more content. It's fun times. So check that out, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and also check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. And
that Discord, though.
That Discord, though.
Day.
Also, check out our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee have equipped us with these microphones, the Hype Mic. It's a wonderful microphone, and I can't suggest it enough. I know that I say that every single week, but I really do mean it because it's incredibly versatile, and you can put it on your PC, put it on your Mac. You can take it on the go. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with it, and we heavily rely on it pretty much with all of our content, whether it is these episodes or whether it is our streaming content. We use them a lot, and so I highly suggest it to anybody. And also a huge shout out to Odyssey. We are wearing their LCD ones. They are open back, meaning you're not like stuck in a cave that is headphones, and you can actually hear a little bit more, and your ears don't feel closed up and prisoners. And it allows the sound to spread.
I can wiggle my ears inside of these.
Yeah?
I just want to throw that out there.
If your ears were eating steaks, you got to butter and baste them.
Yeah. And I got big ears. Plenty of space.
You and me both. I've got an earring. I've got an industrial, and it doesn't hurt with these. It's wonderful.
I don't.
I get freaky with my ears,
And it does.
so I need to make sure that they're safe all the time.
Tom has an ear fetish.
Anyway.
Do check them out, Apogee and Odyssey. But yeah, that is the housekeeping. And let us get on with the episode. And I do need to say one thing before we do. This episode has been pretty much... No, it's been the number one requested episode for Nerd On. From audience, from internal. It has been... Yeah, it's been on the purview for a very long time. And the thing to understand is that TV series are... they're hard sometimes.
I'll say notoriously difficult.
They're notoriously difficult because they take longer, because we don't want to just binge something and then come to the table and talk about something haphazardly. We want to have a discussion and understand it, and so we take more time.
Can I add real quick?
Yeah.
To talk about it, look, everyone, what you're finding out right now is that even though something as like huge and worldwide phenomena as like Avatar, people have not watched it yet. And so like when we think about like a topic, like sometimes we're like, okay, well, we got to have the rest of the team, get up to speed on like what the thing is and why is it so important. So like, Witcher or like The Boys and all these other like wonderful things that are shows that are long, and you want, someone to talk about it in a way that, honors what you love. And we want to give you the best show that we can give you. So, like, it does take some time because you know what? That Dragon Ball Z episode is coming. Maybe 7 years from now, but it's coming. You know what I'm saying? But, like, so yeah.
Everyone start watching it now. Just want to throw that out there.
It's a great privilege to be able to talk about this show, at least this part of the show, because technically the Avatar saga continues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only learned that.
Tom, I'm
recently.
already having PTSD from our Dragon Ball episode now that you've mentioned it. I'm already having like the stress of questions that are going to like the amount, the sheer, like you're going to ask me, you're going to look at me during this episode, the Dragon Ball episode, you go, who is your favorite character and why is it Piccolo? And it's going to cut deep.
Why does no one love Puar as much? Who's Puar? Oh my goodness. Oolong.
Anyway, back on topic.
Yes.
Avatar, The Last Airbender. And because, Tom, take it away.
No, yeah, we got a big show. There's 3 seasons. We're covering it all, baby. Before we get into the huge spoilers of it, we're going to do our first few segments, which are spoiler free. So first off, we're going to, because I guess this first series is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we are going to rate it,
complete
baby,
it. Yeah.
at the end of this episode. So that brings us to our first segment, which is
Guess
that
Avatar, he can bend anything but a car.
The ending theme was just so gangster.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm ready to go to war. Let's watch the next episode. Yeah. So if you're brand spanking new to Nerd On, welcome. But Guess That Grump is a segment of our show where we are going to go around the digital green screens, the green rooms, wherever the screens that we got.
The green room. I mean, I have a green screen.
He does have a green screen. If you're not watching it on YouTube, but you should be. And we're going to guess who is going to have the lowest score from 0 out of 5, no matter how high the number is, which typically shows and things that we cover have that caliber. The lowest one will be the Grump for the week. Since I always change that up, I will let Ali go first. Who will be the Grump? Who will have the lowest
This is a tough one.
It is. I have mine, but it's not I don't have good reasoning behind it.
I'm going to go with Tom.
Okay.
Wow.
My favorite line from the early 2000s Punisher. You one dumb son bitch. Bring a nap to it.
Tom?
As we learned, it's a relative game.
I am going to say Corey.
Wow. Okay.
It's going to be that Spider-Man meme while I was pointing at each other.
I am. This really is a hard one to guess, but because I have to, I'm going to guess Corey.
Oh, wow. baby.
And here's my reasoning. This is a tough one, like everyone has said so far. I'm going to choose Josh only because this is your first go round, and I have no indication of what you might feel about this show.
I do, and
I know a little bit about how Tom and Ali feel already. You're my. Oh, well, we'll see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
So what extra added bonus part of the Guess That Grump segment can we talk about, Corey?
Well, if you're a part of the Nerd On Nation, you can become a guesser, grumper, guesser, grass-fed, gator, gluten-free, Gestapo, guesser, grumper.
Gravity bender.
Yeah, gravity bender.
Hell yeah.
Guesser. And what that means is you get to participate in a poll on our Patreon to guess who you think will be the Grump of the episode. And guess what? If you get it right, you get that shout out on the episode. And unanimously, the Nerd On Nation has spoken. Unanimously. Your vote is Ali.
Ali. Okay.
And
I think I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, I think I do
but
too.
They don't know the conversations behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to give a quick shout out to Maura, who commented and said, well, we all know who isn't. And I just got to say, so everyone, just a little bit of backstory, because this is, now we're going to talk a little bit about that, because it's going to be a complete spoiler of it. But go ahead. Well, what's the order first?
So the order will be all three of you fighting for first, and then me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just go alphabetical.
I'm last. I'll just put it that way.
Tom.
I'm last. The rest is up to you guys.
So now this is going to go complete spoiler. We're going to do our initial reactions and first impressions. I'm going to go first because first of all, real quick. So we were talking about like who's going to open it up, and Josh was like, "Tom, maybe you should open it up because you're the one that suggested it." The reality is, Ollie's been campaigning for this show to be an episode for a very long time.
The reality is, he pitched it,
and like we said at the top, like when we have maybe more than 30 episodes to cover for one episode, it just takes a long time. And so we had to cover comic books and movies and other things. So it's just like, how are we going to fit that dedication of time into it? So I was really excited that like I kind of put my foot down. I was like, all right, put it on the schedule. And Ollie wasn't there for that day, but I was like, Ollie, you're going to like the schedule. And then he was like,
yeah. I looked and I was like,
but that being said, when Morris says, well, we all know who isn't, I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be Ollie. I tell you what, baby. So initial reactions. First of all, this came out like while I was in high school, and I was kind of like, I talked about cartoons and growing up, and like a girl literally dumped me because I was still watching cartoons. And I was like, relax, get over yourself. But anyways, and here I am now still talking about cartoons and still single. Anyway, so it's not sad at all. So
he starts to cry.
I watched the show and it was enjoyable. It was like one of those shows I came home and I watched it and I was like, cool. And then when it ended, I was like, wow, that was a good show. It never really dawned on me how well put together it was until later on rewatching it. And I remember when like the DVD sets came out and then Legend of Korra was coming in. I was like, let me watch the original one. I was like, wow, this is really good. This is a kid's show? This is a kid's show. And then getting prepared for this episode, I rewatched it twice because we were getting ready. We were getting ready to like, okay, cool. Like, let's start all the long form projects. Because when we put topics on, we put them for months ahead of time so we can, give ourselves some time to prepare. It was like, okay, cool. Next week is Avatar. We don't do that. So like, I started watching it like in like September, and then I was done before September ended. I was like, well, shit, baby. And then I was like, I'm gonna have a whole month just to not think about it. And then so I just began. I was like, let me just watch it again overnight, and I'll just do my 2 episodes a night. And I still finished it. And I was like, all right, well, it's not bad because some people go back to The Office, some people go back to Scrubs. I go back to Avatar.
I go back to Scrubs.
Yes, you do. But no. So this show, oh baby, this is everyone. The creators looked at Batman the Animated Series as a good rubric for good storytelling. Now this is the new generation's version of it, I'd say. This is like, everyone could look at this as like how you tell a true Joseph Campbellian like hero's journey. Literally. How you tell a great redemption story, how you tell a great, woman's story, how you tell a great power inequality story. I would recommend everyone to watch it. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter if you have kids, doesn't matter if you're not really into cartoons or not really into anime. It is one of the greatest, I think, stories, told on any format and any medium to begin with, because it knows when to take its time, and then it also knows how to have fun with itself, but also knows like how to really reward its audience and its characters. More so the characters than the audience. And I think like we're going to look back on this 10, 20 years from now and be like, that show. Like as people talk about like, Transformers, as people talk about Batman, as people talk, all the classics, like this one would be it. And like, it's crazy to think like how Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon have taken such huge risks, because I say risk, even though this was a huge success, but this was like something that never been done before. And they never told stories that were epics. And this is an epic to every form and fashion. And it takes a lot from East Asian and Southeast Asian culture. And it was like, how did this work so well, yet we never had it before? And that's the thing where it's like creativity and risk-taking breeds phenomena. Not, hey, look, what's the best thing that the market likes? And then recycle, rinse, put a new skin on it. Like, obviously you can do that and it works to some extent, but you won't get, when it came back on Netflix, it was #1 for like a month. Like, and that was a huge thing. Like, how does it beat, when The Office was still on Netflix? How does it beat when they're still pumping out new original shows? and it became number one, during this year, 2020. So I love the show. Who's next?
I'll go. We'll bookend it. Why don't Tom go first? Ollie, you go last. We'll bookend it we'll have a sandwich of Josh and I in the middle. I watched
it's a white people
this
sandwich
when it was airing. I watched it. I did not watch it when season 1 was airing. I hopped on in season 2, or book 2. Excuse me. Book 2. But I have since watched the entire series, and I really, really enjoyed it while it was airing, and got really into it, and had a great companion and a friend of mine, Chris Carlin, shout out, who's the guy who introduced me to anime in the first place. He's the guy who introduced me to Kenshin. Tom, I'm so sorry, he was there before you. And I haven't really watched it since. Got really into Korra when that came out, but I watched it in prep for this episode. Is this the basically only like the second or third time I've watched through it. Second time completely watching through it. So I got to rediscover a lot of really great moments, and their storytelling is, I don't want to say unique is the right word for it, but it really is for especially for an American made show. It's an extremely I'll say it, unique take on how to tell an epic. And it borrows some tropes, but really makes it their own. Like finding a guy in ice after 100 years isn't that unique, but finding a guy who froze himself in ice with his flying bison, and he is actually like they're mixing Captain America and Fifth Element all in the same type of moment there. So I really, really dug a lot of the choices that the creators and writers of this show made, especially in the later seasons, which we'll get into. So I really, really enjoyed the show.
Nice.
I recommend it. Like Tom said, doesn't matter your age, just watch it.
Yeah. I could not agree more. Okay, so my journey with Avatar.
I got receipts, Josh.
You have receipts. My journey with Avatar is actually this episode. I was in college when it first aired, and my only experience with Avatar was I was working at Hollywood Video at the time, and when it would come out on DVD,
shout out to Game
obviously
Crazy.
I would be stalking like the new release wall, or people would be renting it. And then there was like I believe there was a Wii game that came out at one point.
Probably.
So I knew that. But I had no experience with it. And pre-Nerd On, I know that this isn't a anime per se, but I just wasn't attracted to media of this kind.
I think it definitely invokes that style. So if you're not into anime, it's definitely a barrier.
There were several moments that I was like, oh, that was totally an anime moment. But so I started watching this for this episode, and this is by far one of the best television shows I have ever watched in my life.
Ooh, baby. Wow.
It's,
this is Josh's peak.
When I started watching the first episode and the first book, I was like, okay, all right, this is cool.
And then 2 just puts right into his fifth gear, like, oh shit.
And I just kept watching, and I I was texting Tom throughout the process of like
receipts,
of just like what, and I finished it over the past couple of days. And all I could text was to Tom was, "Holy shit!" Seriously, this is the best storytelling that I have seen in a series like this, or really in a series. Character development, world building, the animation, the
I was gonna say, I feel like
angles.
the character is really for you too. I we'll talk about it soon, but I'll tell you what I thought about it. And I was like,
okay,
Josh is gonna
the world building, just and like watching a behind the scenes, like a making of documentary about it, and just seeing what care they took into formulating and making the different bending styles and what they're based on, and I mean, by the end, I was just like, there were a few episodes that made me cry. There were moments that I was like, oh shit. It was so wonderful, and it does, like, when you're done with it, you're like, yeah, this is a kid's show, but not really. Really not really. Like,
that was a focus group.
Really not really. That's
sorry.
all I got to say is one of the best television shows I've ever watched in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect finale. Like, there are very few shows that you can put on the list of perfect finale. And this is...
And what a finale.
Perfect finale.
Yeah. For this, I think I caught it like in its second season or something. And it was like a random episode like on air that I caught. And then I just thought it was so interesting. I think it was like just like a random slice of life episode where they were just walking, from place to place. And it just struck a chord with me. And like, to your point, there's such a depth and grandiose to this franchise just from like the first episode, because of the whole notion of like the legacy of avatars and how it's been 100 years since the last one. So how long have they been going on for, and how deep does this lore go? And getting to uncover that like episode after episode and get deeper and deeper into the understanding of like the avatars and what it took to sort of save the world, so to speak, and the kind of person that it took to become the avatar. Because the setup is so simple, right? It's like the avatar's here and we got to save the world. You take out the Fire Lord. That's like the whole series. And so the journey is just about the characters and about their growth. And yeah, it hit all the right chords. The animation's fantastic. The music's amazing. The characters are hilarious and likable, even when they're not supposed to be, and they're just characters that when they come on screen, they just make you smile and you're like, yeah, like Ira.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's to echo Josh, it's one of my favorite, like, if not my favorite animated series that's like out.
Nice.
All right.
This is a hard grump guesser episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Very hard.
I can't have too much of a veiled mystery on this episode.
Yeah.
We'll see. So we'll move on to our next two segments, which are going to be our brief synopsis and then our production. Still spoiler free for all those who haven't watched it yet.
Yes.
So go ahead, Josh.
So I have the brief synopsis, and this is what it says. The world is divided into 4 nations: the Water Tribe, the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, and the Air Nomads, each represented by a natural element for which the nation is named. Benders have the ability to control and manipulate the element from their nation. Only the Avatar is the master of all 4 elements. The ruthless Fire Nation wants to conquer the world, but the only Bender who has enough power, the Avatar, has disappeared. Until now. His tribe soon discovers that Aang is the long-lost Avatar. Now, Katara and Sokka must safeguard Aang on his journey to master all 4 elements and save the world from the Fire Nation.
Okay, and then now we'll go into our production, which is, I'm going to go lightning fast, everyone. So
Please.
Bear with me.
I'm going to go shut my door real quick.
Don't go too fast so people can still understand you.
So everyone put it at half speed on your podcast player.
No.
So studios, Viacom, CBS Domestic Media Networks. This is the overall network that controls Showtime, BET, MTV, CMT, and Paramount. And then the production company was Nickelodeon Animation Studios, who gave us such things as Rugrats, SpongeBob, and Fairly Odd Parents. The showrunners for this is Michael Dante DiMartino, who's done work on Family Guy, King of the Hill, and Mission Hill. I love Mission Hill, everyone. Oh my God. Okay, and so Brian Konietzko, who also did work on Family Guy, worked on Invader Zim and Mission Hill. The writers for this, a lot of writers on this, so I might have missed some. But Aaron Ihaz, which has worked on Ed, Futurama, The Dragon Prince. John O'Brien, who's worked on Ben 10, Motor City, Turbo Fast. Elizabeth Welch Ihaz, who was a staff writer for the 51 episodes of the show, even though the total is 61. Tim Hedrick, who's worked on Voltron, Legendary Defender on Netflix. I recommend everyone watch it. Fast and Furious Spider Racers, which have not come out yet. Joshua Hamilton, who's worked on Johnny Test, Legend of Korra, the Green Lantern animated series, which is so good. Everyone should watch that. Mei Chan, who's worked on Phineas and Ferb, Hank, and Carmen Sandiego. Now, the cast. Zach Tyler Eisen, who's worked on Little Bill, Backyardigans, and The Ant Bully. Mae Whitman, who's going to be on Invincible, who's on The Owl House and Young Justice. Jack DeSena, whose works is on The Dragon Prince, all that, and Sorry for Your Loss. Dante Basco, who is Rufio, everyone knows, but voice and lent talent into Camp Artificial, which is on Twitch, and American Dragon, Jake Long. Michaela Jill Murphy, aka on the credits, is Jessie Flower, who lent her voice to Meet the Robinsons, Curious George, and The Emperor's New School. D. Bradley Baker, who you can hear a voice from Big Hero 6, the series, SpongeBob SquarePants, and American Dad. Mako, who you can hear his voice from TMNT, the animated series, Samurai Jack, and Dexter's Laboratory. And then Greg Baldwin, who took over from Mako's role for Lego Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures, Star Wars Clone Wars, and Doraemon the movie. Gray Delisle, aka Gray Delisle Griffith, from Simpsons, The Loud House, and Arkham, the Arkham games as Catwoman, and Mark Hamill, we all know from Batman the Animated Series, regular show, and will be on Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Well, I mean, he's letting us.
I thought that was going to make your list. I just know your lists are sometimes like left field.
Yeah. The directors: Giancarlo Volpe, Ethan Spalding, Lauren McMullen, Dave Filoni, who got literally picked from season 1 to go do Clone Wars, and then Joaquim Dos Santos. Release date for this.
Real quick, shout out to voice director, friend of the show, Andrea Romano.
Release date for this was February 21st, 2005, and it ran through till July 19th, 2008. Episode 61, seasons 3 or 3 books. The runtime for each episode is 23 minutes. The budget estimated $1 million per episode. Just to give you guys a rough estimate of like what the market's like. Simpsons around this time was around $3 million per episode. Now it's currently at $5 million per episode. So they definitely were at a quarter of what the market standard was for high quote unquote production value shows. The Rotten Tomatoes score is 100% for critics and 99% for audience. There's no user number.
So people like it.
So people fucking love this show. That's what I'm going to say. And you will too.
I mean,
You'll love too. Sorry.
Real quick on like the runtime, I really liked how Netflix, because that's how I watched it. I really liked how they put the 2-parters into one. So it was really nice to like, it actually developed my workout strategy.
Nice.
I would watch 2 episodes while doing cardio. And like some episodes, it was like, cool, I just got to do this episode. Get to the end. I've done my cardio.
There you go.
It's a good timer. But now we're going to go into spoiler full nation, baby. We're going to go dive into our favorite parts, favorite characters. We'll do our qualms, and we'll also rate it at the very end. First off, I want to talk a little bit about what Josh was talking about with the documentary. Did anyone else watch the Avatar Spirits documentary? It's so freaking good.
Yeah.
And like, so this is pretty much like the chronicling of them looking back, Brian and Michael talking about like when they met at the Rhode Island Institute of Art in like 1995, and then how they wanted to work together. And then they were like, let's pitch to Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon's like, cool, like we want to hear what you got. And so they had to develop the pitch deck. And Michael was like really obsessed with the idea of like these Alaskan like port fishers who kept having issues. And or Arctic or Antarctic, I don't know, one of the two. But it's in the cold regions. And then Brian created these characters, and the first character created that they wanted to bring in was Momo. And it was like a robotic monkey with an arrow on his head. And then they had a boy, and they had a bipedal polar bear, which a polar bear later on shows up later on. And then that character ended up taking the arrow, and that became Aang, or as M. Night Shyamalan likes to say, Ong. And the polar bear ended up turning into Appa. And like the network executive pretty much said, like, we're just trying to take an epic, but it has to be from a kid's perspective. So either it's a creature that kids will like, or it's got to be about a kid. And so that's when Avatar was born. And like talking about like about what Josh was saying, like the work they put in, like Brian Konietzko was one of the creators, but he also is the art director. And so he was like, I really want to take from martial arts. And Michael had not watched any martial arts or anything like that. And Brian actually ended up taking like a martial arts class and then taking his Sifu, his master, and saying like, hey, I want to create this project where martial arts is like creating these things. And like that Sifu Kisu understood it. But the one thing that I thought was really, really cool was the guy who did Toph's martial arts.
Oh,
looked
yeah.
like I say this with the utmost love and compassion, like looks like a DM Dragon Lord master dude who owns like a game shop, and like it's got a bigger dude with ponytail, glasses, and he just wears like jeans, and he's like studies this like martial arts form, which is like quote unquote legend. It's like quote unquote was created by blind masters. And it was like, it doesn't matter if I can see you. It matters if I can touch you. Because if I can touch you, then I'm already there. I'm already beating you. And it was cool because like the two masters were kind of just complimenting each other. And Kisu was saying, like, yeah, he looks like a pastor, a youth pastor, but he's actually one of the greatest martial arts in the world. And I was like, that's freaking wild. And so like Brian Konietzko during like in Nickelodeon, they were having like martial arts seminars for each episode. And they would do 3 seminars per episode. And it was just like that kind of stuff, which was like really, really cool. And just to kind of also talk about like, is it an anime? Is it an animated thing for kids? Like the two creators went to Korea to have like that, to have an artist there make the art designs and stuff like that. So again, they don't call it an anime. So I'm going to go by the creators and say like, they're like, we take a lot from the, what they say, anime, the anime world. And they took a lot of cues and hints from that. They're like, okay, we can take from that and make it our own thing.
It's an evocation of it.
Yeah. And so it was just like, the documentary is only 30 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's free. Avatar Spirits.
Check it out for sure.
I'd recommend everyone go and watch that. But that's all I got in terms of like, oh, I do have one funny story, by the way. So before we got started, Ollie started to show off his collection of Blu-ray DVDs. And I bought book 1 for a white elephant. What was it called for Christmas? White elephant. It was the most moved around item, like, or the most contentious item that everyone was like, oh my God. And like one guy, he's one of my close friends, fucking threw a fit when he got his shit stolen.
Oh,
and I was like, guys, it was kind of just cool to see like, there's even with among adults with fucking kids, they were still like, dude, give me that shit now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I would say especially with kids.
Yeah.
You would want that shit.
In my mind,
First
I
of
was
all,
gonna like, take it, give it to
wholesome
them.
escape. Wholesome escape. When you've been watching your kids all day and you're like, I need like 30 minutes to just unwind. Avatar. But also, what can I watch with my kids? Avatar.
Well, I mean, the cool thing as well is that the Nickelodeon executive was saying like, bending elements was the most logical but fantastic way to show fighting without violence. Because the show is a kid show. And so like, how do you get away with certain things like other than cutaways, right? And so you show like the winds bending and it's like, oh my gosh, you know what that looks like. You could throw a rock at somebody, but seeing someone getting impaled by spikes is like, okay, you know the implications. So it's just interesting to see that documentary and like how like the mindset behind it and all that stuff. It's really, really, really cool. But enough of me. Favorite parts, everybody.
I mean, just a quick blanket shout out is anytime Aang enters the Avatar state, I get pumped.
Oh yeah.
I get like super pumped. I mean, you get to see it right away when he encapsulates them in ice. But it's just, I love seeing a hero who I mean, trouble is a iffy word, but I'm going to say it for the lack of a better one right now, who kind of has trouble containing their emotions. Because usually these heroes you see in these types of, prophet type films are always like, they always get to this state of like stoicism that, I mean, even Luke Skywalker, think of Luke Skywalker at the beginning of Return of the Jedi when he's in Jabba's palace, right? Super stoic. He's made it. But I love the fact that you have this character whose emotions do the opposite. They help instead. And I think that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's interesting because like he doesn't have the luxury of waiting for adulthood, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to be the Avatar now. You
In
got to
a
get your
year.
shit together now.
Yeah. So anytime that shit takes off, I'm like, here we go.
And so I remember when Josh was starting to watch it, he was like, okay, I like it. And I was like, Josh, this is like everyone listening right now. I love Josh, right? But I'm going to be honest. Josh, you pacifist sometimes. And Aang
what?
A pacifist.
Oh, I'm definitely a pacifist.
And like Aang, I love the character Aang because he is a pacifist. And I'm not used to those kind of characters. I'm used to Inuyasha, a Bit Cloud, a Tai from, an Ash Ketchum, like
Yu Yu Hakusho. Like
Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho. Like guys who are like,
everyone in Yu Yu Hakusho.
I'm gonna kick your ass. You fucked up. And then but Aang's like, but guys, I just want to have fun. Let's do these things and we don't have to fight.
Well,
I'm the most powerful being on the planet, but I don't want to fight.
I'm actually going to speak to that point because it is one of my favorite moments. And it's more of like a series of moments. And it's kind of the final struggle of Aang of like, everybody's pushing that the only way to win this is destruction. You have to destroy this person.
Take
and
a
he's
life.
Like, yeah. And he's like, I can't do that. And even in the Avatar state, this like destructive state where he's in this sphere of like all of these things, all of the elements, and then like learning that there's another form of bending and like energy bending and like just
that woo.
And the only one we learned about
so much because I'm just like I believe that too. I do believe that there are ways to end conflict without destruction and all that kind of stuff. And so seeing this play out like that and the way that it happened, it was just like, in the moment, like when, and especially like because I'm way into the energy thing. I think it's really cool. And like when that moment, woo woo, when he is like, I don't know what to call it, but he's got his hand on Ozai's forehead and he's bending his energy, but he's almost being taken over. And when it like it starts to get to his eye and it's like the last gasp and it's just like boom. It was so cool.
It's a wonderful video game moment where like, okay, cool, I beat the boss. And even then, here is the final climactic story moment for the character to be like, in order to purify someone's energy, you must yourself be an unbendable energy. And it's like this really cool like idea of will where it doesn't come to strength. It comes to, does my idea of peace, is it more powerful than your conviction to destroy? And it's done visually in that sense. And it's a very like one of my favorite things of the show is there is a sound and it sounds just like Dragonheart where it's like like once the good thing has happened, you're like, oh my god, like it's the same sound cue that when that happens, Josh. It's the same sound cue when Zuko introduced Aang to the world. Like it's the same sound cue, and it's like that's the sound that will like invoke me to go like wanting to like choke up and cry just a little bit because it's like a really healing feeling of like, holy shit, like we are not lost as human beings. There is always a chance for us to find your way, like it's...
Well, to me, that's sort of what that last sort of scene and fight was about more. Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but during that whole final scene, like, I always got the, impression that Aang, see, now you got me saying it weird.
Okay, I'm not.
I knew he would have no problem beating, like, the Fire Lord. Like, he felt like this overwhelming force in the Avatar state. So it was more about like the thing that I was kind of on the edge of my seat about was, are you going to go through with it? Are you going to kill him in that moment? Or is that...
It wasn't an if, it was a how.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I really enjoyed about that. Because, I mean, the fight was amazing. One of the best fights like in animated fights or whatever. But it really comes down to that moment and it's such a satisfying payoff at the end. Especially like the whole journey.
Let's talk about that fight real quick because it's such a really well story telegraphed fight because it has these two characters fighting on these pillars. So you feel like obviously there's this elevation of stakes. But also like Ozai is at this point where like we've seen firebending like be kind of created through kinetic energy. So you have to move in order to create the flame. And there's a moment where he literally just creates a fireball in his hand without moving. And it's just like, holy shit, we're on unprecedented territory here. And there to that point is I love what the fights do for this show because not only is there emotional stakes, but people don't always win. And that's the thing that I fucking hate when like in so many things, like, well, you've never lost. So there's no point for me even giving a shit if you lost this time. Because that means you're not like, there's so many times like Aang getting struck by lightning and Katara not being able to have water with her. Like they do a time gap in there. And then so in this moment, you're just like, Aang will probably win, but also like we see him go up and down in the fight where like he's running for his life and he just decides to ball up again. You know, he balled up in water and he balls up in a rock. And so there's like so much good storytelling just in the fight within itself. And there's not a lot of that. There's just like, oh, but look at the one shot that it's in the hallway and it looks cool. It's like, I don't give a shit. All right. Tell me a story. All right. I want to see some fucking emotion in these fights. I want to put them on their heels.
But it's okay if you like that too.
It's cool to say that. But I'm just saying like,
I don't understand what the argument is.
It's don't say that's the greatest fight scene you've ever seen.
Oh,
like it's not. There's better with less. Like I will say, even.
Are you talking about Daredevil? Is that what the reference is?
No, just anything. You hear a lot of that kind of stuff, but like like even
that
Star
was a
Wars
specific reference.
Because Old Boy in the hallway is the best fight scene I've ever seen.
There's Batman versus Superman. There's a lot of one take fight scenes. That everyone's like, oh. Anyways, like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker's fight in Return of the Jedi is phenomenal. Like because there is emotion behind it. There is thematics behind it. There's precedent for it. It's not just look how cool we can make it. It's like who cares if
I mean Old Boy. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of emotional.
It's that
stuff
it's
behind that fight too.
It's the same like Captain America holding Mjolnir fighting Thanos. It's like what got us to this point.
Yeah. Right.
You know, fighting a like 4-year-old version of Thanos. Like what got us here or whatever. You know. There's such a legacy and breadth of events and journeys that like very few times does it like crescendo in this way.
Any other favorite parts? Sorry, before I go on another tangent.
Yeah, I do.
Parts?
Metal bending.
Oh yeah.
Toph's discovery of metal bending. Especially how they show it where from her point of view where you can see the like little points where she's like okay,
or whatever
I get it now.
Yeah.
That was something I remember she could do it, but I forgot the lead up to it, to metal bending. And watching that scene again now was like I was like super pumped when it happens. Like it cuts to the shot outside and you just see this divot form on the outside. And I was like, oh, that scene. And then any metal bending from then on out is just very,
in the finale, when she creates
it's very cool to watch,
armor.
but knowing
armor.
Oh my god, the armor rolls into the room.
Yeah. Oh my god. You know, all of that same thing tied with the emotional weight of how it happened is very cool.
I would say Toph could beat anybody in an Agni Kai.
Yeah. Wait, what? Sorry.
In an Agni Kai, like at a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Like she would beat anybody.
The other thing I wrote down, metal bending / the tournament scene, the tournament fight between her and Aang, the lead up and their fight, like her just pummeling people, just like no problem beating people. And then Aang comes around and floats around, which I thought was genius. Floats around so she can't tell where he is and then is all upset. I really, really, I don't want to bury the lead too much, but like I really enjoyed her entire storyline.
Yeah.
From her issues with her parents, and then believing she had been kidnapped, to swindling people in the Fire Nation, and like,
well, that's the cool thing about her
scams.
character. She comes from privilege,
yeah,
and yet she doesn't. It's like to me, that's like. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but like I feel like Disney princesses have caused a lot of issues with my generation, and Toph is the answer to it. Toph is literally the answer to it. Like you don't have to fucking fall in love. Like even when you're blind, you see more than other people do. And even then when you're rich, you still want to live life beyond riches because
Jasmine is the closest thing we ever got to that in our
closest thing, but still a far cry.
And then, speaking of the swindling people in the Fire Nation, her relationship that forms with Katara after that, where she's sitting on the cliff talking about her, and she's like, look, I know she gives me a hard time and she cares too much, like how a mother should. And I just thought that was, she thinks of her more of a mother than her own mother, obviously. So like, I don't know. There's a lot to that storyline that I felt really connected to. Maybe it's the dad issues, Tom. Who knows? But if I really wanted to lean into a dad thing, I would lean into
Sokka.
And
his dad.
No, Hakoda.
Or Zuko and his dad.
Yeah,
and
Hakoda.
I mean, I'll say one thing too. I really love, so there's a lot to love, right? I really love Sokka and being like the greatest swordsman in the world, but because he does not draw photorealism, he has imagination. Like, I really enjoy that so much because it's like, it's this normal sports movie kind of thing where it's like he sucks at everything, but it actually ends up being like his greatest weapon. And like Space Sword, man. Fucking Space Sword is so awesome. And then when he loses it, I was like, oh, I love it. And like, so I really enjoy
Space Sword.
I love Buy Space Sword. But then like how he has a relationship with his master. How do you not love Iroh and Paisho and, like the whole White Lotus like reveal? And just like, I'm gonna keep going on. But so Josh, I want to hear some more from you, baby.
Yeah, man. That's so usually with our episodes, I take notes and I have like favorite moments and all this kind of stuff. The thing about this show is that it just ends up being just pages and pages and pages because there's any moment that Iroh is on screen. There is the overall story of Zuko. We'll talk about that in characters, but so to pull like a specific moment, I believe it's when it's the Boiling Rock episode, and they're on the shore, and it's Sokka and it is Sokka and Zuko, and they're like comparing war stories, and Sokka tells his story like about is it Princess Yui, and there's like a moment of silence, and Zuko goes, "That's rough, buddy."
Yeah. Like I'll talk a little bit about that Zuko. Like his whole redemption is so satisfying because he never like succumbs to, well, I'm trying to help you, so like everything is like to the sense of like I'm the bad guy and they deserve to hate me, and I get that. So I'm always coming at this negative angle, and I love that where there's no like, oh, okay, we're just going to forgive you for, burning down a village, like we're just going to, like Suki like reminds me like, oh, we met, you burned down my whole village. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like there's those moments where we're not allowed to forget those things where it's just like washed over.
He's not trying. Yeah. He's also not trying to bury the past, but live forward from it.
Yeah. Rather. And like he accidentally hurts Toph and he's like, I'm so bad at being good. And like he goes up to them. He's like, hey, I saw you guys were flying. So I decided to wait here. Like, he comes at it where this place is like, I don't know how I tell them that I'm good. I don't know how. And there is that level of like, in fiction that just happens so much like, okay, well, I guess you're on our side. And it's like, what do you mean? Like Katara doesn't trust him. Aang doesn't trust him. Only one that trusts him is Appa. And it's like such a like satisfying thing when like book 3 is like my favorite book because like the 4 episodes with Zuko are just like so well done. And it's like that's the thing with the show. It's like you can't just kind of skip around. You gotta watch.
Fire Masters, the by far. Okay, no.
Go ahead.
The dance. The
Dancing Dragon.
Dancing Dragons.
That moment, like just it is a moment that gave me chill. Like I was doing the elliptical and that scene came up and I had to stop because I was like, I had to watch this because I got chills because they introduce it when they're in the temple and they see those statues, but then they actually have to do it, and the synergy of them together, and then the dragons basically kind of like welcoming them and showing them because it's like I'm also a person of balance. Like there is a time for both of both worlds of rage and for calmness. Like there's a balance, and I loved the moment when the fires come together in this like tornado. But it almost defies color. Like it's not just blue, it's not just red. It just becomes this gamut and spectrum that I was just like. But I loved it when because there's.
Speaking of common rage balance, my dad had that balance real well. he never got like yelly angry when we would do stuff. He would be that like calm angry, which is way scarier because I can deal with an explosive anger, but that like calm and control anger, you're like, oh, there's nothing I can do right now to change that. I can't throw you off your game at all.
It's like if he wanted to kill me, he would have done it by now.
Josh.
But he's chosen to keep me alive.
Yes. Yeah. Not to mention he was a black belt. So yeah, that would do it.
What about
Shout
Ollie?
out. I'm gonna be that comrade.
Ollie.
Yeah.
I wanted to focus on like a smaller moment, one that made me laugh a lot.
My cabbages.
There's always like a couple like lines or quotes or jokes that just make you like stop or pause and have to like laugh before you can move on. This one was, I forget what episode it is, but it's with when he's in the with the Fire Nation Get Up, and he's in school.
Oh, okay.
It's nobody shows my Angie anything, especially movements. Just showing him like dance movements. That's made me laugh.
I like in terms one funny part that I really loved is when Katara and Zuko go and try to find who killed Katara's mother, and they're gonna go steal Appa. And Aang comes, he's like, "You're just gonna steal him anyways?" She's like, "Yeah." It's like, "It's okay, I forgive you." If you look at Sokka's face, he's just like nonplussed the entire time. He's like, "Really, bro?" The entire time. It's like a really funny visual, like, and that's the great thing they do is like all the background stuff that's like that is funny that they don't focus on. Corey?
So I said before the show that there was a character that I always just kind of pictured you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's
Sokka.
Yeah.
I get
100%. There are some elements of Zuko that you embody very well. Some discipline. But definitely Sokka. Every time I saw Sokka, I was like, this is Tom. I understand this character fundamentally.
He wants to get
because he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, he's
actually a war general. He's pretty fucking smart.
Yeah, he's tactically like a genius. From what he's learned from his dad and stuff. But I mean, he's the brains of the group
of Team Avatar.
Really. But he's
trying to get the girl, does bad jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wants to eat.
He reminded me of the character from Voltron.
The blue tiger, the blue lion.
No.
I mean, speaking with Sokka.
Lance? Yeah. Okay.
Speaking about Sokka, like, there's two moments. One thought, I'm gonna put it to the side, but with Sokka, because we're talking about Sokka. There's a moment with his dad that they're preparing for war, and his dad tells all the other troops to get prepared and go do the thing. And Sokka's like, well, what do I do? And he's like, I said, all soldiers, get ready. And I was just like,
dang.
His dad is almost my favorite character in the show. I think if there had been more of him, he would have been.
The next thing I want to say,
really tragic.
The next thing I want to say is the ultimate favorite moment. Takes the cake.
Drum roll, please.
Thank you.
Tent.
It is the moment in which Zuko and Iroh reunite.
Reconcile, yeah.
And it's what Iroh says, and I'm gonna fucking cry. And Zuko's just like, Zuko's doing Zuko. He's like, oh, you're mad at me. How could you ever forgive me? And Iroh's like, I was never mad at you. I was sad that you might have lost your way. And it's just like, fuck, man. Fuck.
Damn.
No, and I love how that
Why
comes
you do
out.
This to me?
That comes out after when he's like, and then we'll need to have a new Fire Lord. And then Zuko, trying to come up with a contingency. He's like, we don't know where Aang is. He's like, so Iroh, are you going to take the throne? He's like, no, it has to be under a new leader, someone who's pure of heart and can restore honor. He's like, but I'm like the least honorable person. It's like, you restored your own honor. You did it all on your own without me. And I was just like, oh my goodness. It's so good. Like, and that's the thing, like, he lost his way and then found his way. Like, and that's what I love about the Zuko character. Like, it's why his redemption arc is probably, to me, the archetypical like redemption arc that anyone should just strive to have. Yeah. There are other things that try to have that, and it didn't work out that well, and we won't talk about it here. Anyways, Ollie, what more favorite parts you got, baby?
I have what is actually my favorite moment, the most mind-blowing moment for me in the show was bloodbending.
That was like a Halloween episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, but just like the idea, and I'm like, of course, we're filled with fluids. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just the just the before they even like went into what it was, just me hearing bloodbending and then being like, okay,
because we have water.
Things are
like,
different
our
now.
blood has water in it. Like,
Right. Yeah.
oh,
But
shit.
it's so easy to just be like, well, in this universe that doesn't count.
Yeah,
But
the human body is
to keep it, like,
60%
for
water.
kids.
Waterbenders would ruin the world.
My favorite thing
if
about
they were not past people.
that episode is at the very end where she's like, my work here is done. Like the fact that Korra started doing it was like, cool. My power, my teaching is passed on. Bloodbending will live forever. Like, and
Does
that's
that
like
mean
that creepy curse thing. And no, we're not going to talk about Korra.
I was gonna say, could Toph pull a Magneto?
She was Magneto at the very end where she lifted that stuff in the war.
No, but you know what I mean? There's iron and minerals in your blood.
Yeah.
So could she just like...
It would probably be like Toph's great-great-great-granddaughter or something like that.
Yeah, right.
She could probably maintain the surface tension and keep the water up in the air, I bet.
I mean, that's what Katara did.
I just mean, could she pull the blood out of you? Like Magneto did when he pulled the iron out of that guard.
Pull the iron out of you. Jeez.
I mean, that's what Aang could probably just suck the air out of your lungs.
Yeah,
Right.
it's wild.
We're talking about
the
if a
intricacies.
bender
But it's interesting,
went
right?
completely psychopath.
Because these are the psychopathic thoughts, right?
I'm gonna say
but
that-
then to see the show explore one of
That's
them.
why the Fire Nation had to be the bad guys, because you don't have fire in your body.
Well, I'm gonna say this: we haven't done, and we don't have it on the list or docket yet. But I know Corey loves Korra, and you're gonna see some fucking psychopathic benders who do some fucked
Also,
up
Josh,
shit.
if you like metal bending, you'll dig what they do with metal bending.
Corey, any other favorite parts?
No, the only other note I wrote down is said anything with the Water Tribe. I loved the Water Tribe.
Okay,
Southern or northern?
Okay, we'll do it at the. We'll do it after. I was gonna say let's do all of what tribe we want to be in
Southern.
at the end.
Okay.
At the end. So let's do favorite characters before this episode gets to 3 hours.
Can
long.
we like real quick? Characters. This show has the greatest, just the character development and the character journey of every single one.
Everyone gets their moment to fucking shine,
And everybody develops and everybody changes, and it's just
No
like
one's throwaway.
it's a breath of fresh air. Like it's just like so Sokka. Zuko, and well, Sokka is another one that just had a wonderful journey. That and Zuko, and Iroh, and she goes fucking insane. But Azula, like
Azula,
I love I hated Azula. I hated her, but I loved how insane she went and the reasons that she did.
she is probably one of the best runner antagonists. Like the entire time you have this idea of like Ozai is this like, thing is abstract, this like force that I could never attain to or touch.
Right.
But Azula is just like coming at you. And then the moment at the Boiling Rock, is that the Boiling Rock? Where there's like, she's not going to make it. She's like falling and then she just rockets. And then he's like, of course she did. I was like, oh my God. And like, her level of like, you see her insecurity of like, I like trust, you can't trust people. You can only make sure that they fear you.
That was great, right?
Yeah, that's great, Allow.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So,
the story of
Sozin and Roku.
Sozin and Roku,
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodness.
But characters, yeah. I mean, just
Forget
so
it.
each Toph, her everybody gets a nice story that just on their own that you're
we
like.
did 2 from the group and 1 side.
One outside of Team Avatar.
Okay. Josh.
2 from the group. Okay.
Yeah.
From Team Avatar.
you
Team
know,
Avatar
you guys-
does include Zuko. So
You guys, you got me. You got me. Thank you so much for this because this makes it easy for me. Because
I will say real quick. Did you catch who voiced Kyoshi, the Avatar from the Earthbenders? You know who's the one who split the building? It's Jennifer Hale.
No. It was?
Oh,
Yeah, it's Jennifer Hale.
nice.
So I was like, who else is going to play like a stupid, strong female character?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so from the group, Zuko and Sokka. I just I'm sorry. No, sorry. Zuko and Toph. because I was just talking about Sokka. Zuko and Toph. Toph, every time she was on screen, and I just loved her just not give a shit attitude. But Zuko, his redemption story is something that I can watch over and over and over again. And just because it's not just like a haphazard realization, it's a journey. Like it's just like really like what he goes through to, and the pain that he had to, literal pain and emotional pain of just like everything that he went through to get to those moments of realization of like what's really important and what the Fire Nation should be and all that kind of stuff.
Honor!
And then outside the main crew, it would be Iroh. Just Iroh.
For me, I'll go next, and I'll say it's going to be Zuko, then Sokka. These are my favorite characters. Who I think are the best characters are Zuko, then Aang. But Sokka, to Corey's point,
this is his favorite character.
I'm just like, how do I not recognize this man? Game recognized game. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing, but like, I feel like if there's a yin and yang between me and these characters, it's definitely the Zuko and Sokka level.
So I nailed it.
You did.
Trying to say.
Like I am them combined. If they did the dragon dance and it ended up being Dragon Ball Z combining, that's exactly what happened.
You, John?
And I love their tag team fight against Azula. Anyways, but like Zuko, the one thing I really love about his redemption arc is that he doesn't quote unquote turn good because like he keeps failing and then like something happens and he's like, oh, I've seen the error of my ways. It happens because he gets everything he wanted and it just costs him everything to get it. And he realizes like, I don't have anything else. It's kind of like the whole thing. It's like, if you're unhappy with your wealth, that means you're poor morally. And like he was bankrupt morally because he was just so unhappy that he was accepted into the war room. He was accepted amongst his people. Like him and Azula had a relationship. They went to the whole beach episode was like a great episode, even though like that's such an anime trope having a beach episode. But like it's such a great thing. Like, and there's no like, and that's the thing. There's no filler episode that if like, oh, this feels like filler, but like it does so much for the characters. In Sokka, like one thing I really also did love was when they went to go watch the play. And it was these hyperbolic versions of themselves. And Aang has a breakdown. I just really wanted to talk about that. But I loved how Sokka went backstage. He's like, hey, I have some ideas about your character. Like because he's trying to make his character better. He's like, I got these jokes, you know, try to ad-lib some things and all that stuff. And it's like, I really, really enjoyed Sokka as well because there is that level of like inadequacy that he had. He's like, I can't bend. I have nothing to like give value to the team. And so he goes off on his own journey to like learn how to be a swords master. And like there is that level of like, you know, he has where he has to be the soundboard for his sister, which I really enjoy. And also like the moment when the eclipse happened and then he leads the front to go find the Fire Lord, like he's like, stop, like she's just, you know, stalling us out. We gotta go. And then also she's like, well, we have Suki. And then he's like, where is Suki? I was like, oh, he gonna stab that. She gonna stab that. And I was like,
I do enjoy a lot of the moments between the siblings where like she's water bending that fish and he pulls his spear back and pops the bubble and the fish escapes again. Just little moments like that.
Just like the pilot itself is a really powerful storytelling tool to show like Katara could waterbend, but she's emotionally compromised where she can't control it. And Sokka, you know, is like the more huntery-gathery guy, but then he's also just like as aloof friend, brother.
Yeah.
And then you see like, okay, cool. Where are they going to go from here? And so like when Sokka gets the fucking northern armor, it's baller.
Yeah.
They complement each other really well, like the two characters as siblings.
Ollie, what you got?
My favorite characters. I got to give a shout out to my SFCs, strong female characters. Toph, she's my favorite character just because she's amazing and hilarious and fast-witted and all that good stuff. And then it's Katara, just because I feel like she's got like a grounding to her. She's got, I feel like I can relate to her a little bit. She's got that sort of like insecurity, but also like, well, this is like the logical way, or this is the safe way. Why aren't you, doing what is logical, what is obvious, So I kind of dig like her struggle and how she challenges Aang.
Yeah.
Sorry for the bad.
Both of you, I forgot, Tom, you need to say the not in the
the not team Avatar guy. I will say
or gal.
I'll say or gal. I mean, I'm still gonna say Iroh. Iroh is too good. He's too good. It's Mako, man. And Tails of Bossing Say leaves from the vines.
Do it too.
Mine's Iroh also.
Oh
wow.
My God.
All you did Iroh as your side.
That's my side.
So
okay, Corey, tell me why is it Toph and Boomy?
Whoa, no, it's not Boomy. But how did you get? Did you guess Toph before?
So when before I was like, okay, Corey's favorite character might be Iroh, and he's like, no. And then I was like, okay, then it's Toph.
Wow, I'm that predictable. Or you just know me that well. Why'd you think it would be Toph off the top?
I don't know. I just felt like that's someone that has like side character power. That's like Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, like it is like very like I'll let my actions do the talking, but also like the play episode where she's like, oh my God, why do I sound like a guy? And she's like, haha, this play is really accurate. She's like, I love this.
Yeah. One of the moments that solidified it for me, I don't know why this did, but it did, is when she's holding the library up and she has to choose between the library and Appa, and she's like apologizing to her like quietly. She's like, I'm so sorry, Appa, but I have to do this. And it was just like,
those few episodes were so good because there was this like such good tension between Aang and Toph. And it was like, I love how it was the like manifestation of like the polar opposites of air and earth. And it's like why he had such trouble bending it. I'm like, oh my God, guys.
It's actually Toph and Appa.
Oh.
Appa's Chewbacca. Like, why would I not?
This is
like
true.
That? Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Tom?
I love how Sokka never trusts Appa, and it comes back in book 3 where like Aang goes missing, and he's like, "Oh my God, we all knew this was gonna happen."
Finally happened.
Appa ate Momo.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
He's just like, no matter what is happening, he's gonna do it. Like even going with Aang and flying into the storm in the beginning when he wants to run away.
When he's wearing the armor, I mean,
that
he looks so
Sokka
dope.
makes for him.
That's pretty good.
My God. He's just like Chewbacca, he's just a good ass dude who's always showing up.
Original
and, like,
Airbender.
Even though like Sokka and people don't trust him, he's still there for them and forms bonds with everybody. And takes on literally all of the weight of their party and flies them anywhere they need to go. What were you gonna say? What did you say, Ollie?
Speaking of clothes, like you gotta admit, those Fire Nation getups
We're dope.
pretty slick.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have a lot of money. You get style.
When you take all the money from all the other nations.
Side character is the Cabbage Man.
my cabbages. So not Boomy?
Not Sparkle.
I love
Sparkle
Boomy.
Boom.
Okay, so
I was like, not
Boomy.
crazy old man Boomy who took back his whole city?
For Kyle Robinson to the Cabbage Man, because he would do that anytime he spilt something. When I was his roommate, anytime he spilt something or I spilled something, he would from the other room just go, "My cabbages!"
And do you know the current fan cast for that in the live action for a Cabbage Man?
No,
it's Ken Jeong.
Oh yes,
I think that is so good.
But Boomy was like, yes, yeah, and the fact that him and Aang were like childhood friends, and he didn't lose that childhoodness,
even though he's the king
spirit. Yeah, he would definitely be on that list. I just, for the sake of my own experiences, anytime that guy yells at cabbages, I just hear Kyle's voice.
My cabbages.
My cabbages. So yeah, that's it. So Toph, Appa, and Cabbage Man.
Okay. Not the Swamp Benders.
Not the Swamp Benders.
Man, I can't. I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait till Josh starts watching Korra and sees Amon and just be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Josh, will you text me when you watch Korra?
Oh my God. Oh my.
Please.
And he's voiced by Steve Blum. Oh my goodness.
Not if, but when you watch Korra.
When we do the episode. Okay, so now we go to qualms. Let's make this short, shall we? Who's got qualms?
I do. I actually have a couple, and I will preface it with neither of these affect my score because both of these are baggage.
Yeah, these are like nitpicks.
Things. These are nitpicks. The nitpicky one is, and this it was less so with Korra, but still bothered me in it as well, is sometimes the frames per second was really distracting. Mm-hmm. The art style. And I get it's a choice. And so it doesn't affect my score at all because obviously it's a gorgeous show, and a lot of the art is really, if you take a still frame from anywhere in this show, it's fucking gorgeous.
The fact that the animators were asked to take in mind the type of lens.
Yeah, they were like, try to do this on a wide angle lens.
Like,
but
holy shit.
Sometimes the jumpy animation was a little bit distracting. Same way it was, it took a minute to get adjusted for Spider-Verse. Same thing. So that was one for me, is sometimes it would take me out of it. Again, doesn't affect the score at all, and it was only sometimes. The other one was the baggage of having, I mentioned this to Tom, that
hi, I'm Tom.
The way this hit me now as a 31-year-old man is, and this has nothing to do with quality, I simply mean to compare these as scope and maturity of the themes, is that this would be The Hobbit where Korra is Lord of the Rings. This
not
is
in terms of the craft, but in terms of what it talks about.
Exactly. Right. And I'm like, if you want to compare it to the books, rather. So like where The Hobbit was a little more, thematically it was a little more,
we're on an adventure.
I don't want to say childlike, but youthful.
Yeah.
Korra deals with themes that are a little more mature that even now I still relate to a little bit more.
Can I make this is not like a great comparison, but one that,
please.
To me, it's like Avatar is like episode 1, episode 4, episode 7. And then Korra is like Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, and Last Jedi, where it's just like, oh my God, we keep losing. And like what they talk about is just so much more like just a little slight spoiler. Korra season 1 starts with there is a civil war between non-benders and benders.
Yeah.
And how do you not talk about that without talking about like real world parallels of like inequality? And it's just like, I didn't know we can go here.
That's my only other qualm, is going back and watching this at the age I'm at and having watched Korra. There were some parts where I was like, this is for kids, for sure.
And that's what it feels like. Legend of Korra is for those same kids who grew up 5 years
which
later.
Is the same thing. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings for the same people who read The Hobbit, because I think it was for his kids. And his kids were teenagers by the time Lord of the Rings came around. So he wrote it with more mature. Anyway, it's pretty cool. So those are my only two qualms. Again, neither of those affect the scores, but those are my nitpicky thoughts that popped in my head while I was watching it.
Ollie?
Yeah, I would say I don't have any hard qualms, but I would echo the same thing as Corey is saying, that it does only like kind of within the context of Legend of Korra, looking back at Avatar. So it's one of those interesting things. The scale and the scope and sort of the themes. They dive into much deeper, like intriguing things with Korra, but
there's more woo woo in there, Josh.
Yeah, there's more.
Hell yeah.
I don't have a qualm really. I can't think of anything.
I have two qualms, and they do not affect my score whatsoever. In fact, they barely even count. One is I was slightly bothered with how fast Katara became so good at waterbending. Like, it was like a really quick, like, boom, boom. She's like, the master is calling her, is almost calling her a master. I know that it's like kind of in a loving way, but she becomes so good so quickly. That could
Almost
speak to how natural she is, but there was just part of me that was like, story-wise, I was like, oh.
It's interesting because
kind of, I think I'm going to talk a little bit what Ollie's going to talk about at the beginning, when like Katara and Aang both are learning. They're both looking for a master, and Aang picks up faster than she does. And later on, it's when like you find out that she is the last waterbender of the Southern tribe. It's like kind of like, oh fuck, like like maybe there is some precedent that she is like fucking powerful as shit. So.
Gifted,
I was gonna say, just from like a filmmaking standpoint, in the beginning of the show, it's interesting to think about like how they might have done things like that, right, to kind of stay within the safety of a structure, but then like echoing like Sokka's journey at the end, and how they took their time with that. It's like a time lapse with Ira at the same time.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's like at the beginning of the show, it's almost like she can barely move a drop of water,
a drop of water, like holding up.
And then by the end of book 1, she's like fucking.
So like if she had that journey later in the series, I wonder if they would have like expanded it more and taken her time to learn.
It didn't ruin my experience whatsoever. It's just something that I go, the only other one is that I felt like Fire Lord or Phoenix King Ozai wasn't as developed as other characters. Like we got more information about Sozin and his kind of everything that's going on with that.
Him and the Avatar were friends.
Yeah, and we didn't get as much with Ozai, who ends up being not the main baddie, but he is like
the main antagonist,
the ultimate baddie.
There is a comic book that Dark Horse did that chronicles the journey that Zuko takes to find his mother. And I haven't read it, but I don't know if it does any more for Ozai, because I will say to that point that you felt like there was a little, and it was more for Aang, but it's when they're at that old palace, and then Katara's like, I have a surprise, and she finds a picture, it's baby Zuko, and he's like, that's my dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was a happy person at once, so what changed? And to me, it's always that sense of like, unchecked ambition corrupts. But I did kind of really like that level of like, Aang's like, he's still a human, and the world might be better without him, but there has to be another way. And I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. I have one qualm, and this is the dumbest qualm. I will crown myself the dumbest qualm. And this is a qualm because it's the first season, and you don't know if they're going to have a season 2. You don't know if you're going to be a worldwide phenomena. But season 1 has a lot of this is the lesson of the day episode.
Right.
And there's nothing technically wrong with it as a programming standpoint, but when you watch it
Jackie Chan Adventures,
and I'm not even saying binge it, but you just watch it where it's like, okay, next episode, all right, I'll go do whatever, I'll come back to it today or tomorrow, and when next episode, not having like 6-hour long marathons of it. First season feels like it's like, oh my God, just get there. Just fucking get there. But like each episode does provide, like one episode that is quote unquote the most fillery is when you have the 2 Earth Kingdom clans who don't like each other, and that they have to travel through the canyon.
The Great Divide.
Yeah. And like Aang creates a fake story in order for them to like get over themselves and actually hang out. Like I thought that was great because in the beginning of the episode they say like, well, you're the Avatar, you have to be able to unite people. So, and then this episode shows like how he's able to do that with a lie. So, but like there are those kind of hidden messages and stories. And again, I will say like, this is like the best kids programming I've ever like experienced. And I would say like in the nicest way possible. Look, I don't want to take away your childhoods, everyone, but get your kids off the Disney shit and start watching this stuff, and they'll be better human beings. They won't think a prince has to save them. They won't think the world's just full of magic, but you can do things because it's for the good of the world. And I'm just saying, because at the very end too, like there is that sense of like, okay, cool. If Iroh beats Ozai, then it's like, then it'll just look like violence begets more violence. History has to show that purity beats out that hatred. And it's like, like they know they could possibly beat Ozai, but like they have to do it the right way. And like so there's so many of those kind of things that the show takes its time to do. But I'll get off that high horse. Do we want to do which tribe we're in now, or do we want to do our rating first?
Oh geez. Why don't you just tell me what tribe I'm in?
For Corey? I mean he likes Toph. I feel like Earth, but I mean also Air Nomads, I feel like are pretty you, but
I can see that.
I don't know, Corey. You could be Avatar. I don't know. Who do you want to be?
I'm okay with that.
Avatar powers.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's between the Air Nomads and water.
One thing real quick. I know you fucking love that episode when he's unlocking all his chakras.
Yeah,
he has to fucking choose.
What's funny when we started the favorite moments that came to mind, and then the conversation went on a wild ride. But no, I love that. I was
like, this is Josh.
How they explained it. No, so like it's like the it's probably, if I had to choose one, it's probably Air Nomads. Probably.
Ollie.
Respect that.
Water.
Corey, what is yours? I don't. What do you choose?
I mean, I really respected the Water Tribe, Southern Water Tribe. Hakoda was just a really good leader. But I've always felt like earthbending was OP. And I've been asked by Kyle and I'm like, which one would you do? And I was like, for sure, earthbending. Like that's some shit right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could sand bend. You can. I mean,
I would walk around and go, I have a jar of dirt, and I would just use that all the time.
That's
the jar of dirt.
In Naruto, you see Gaara. Anyways, I think just because she's not here, Caitlin, I think she'd also be Earth. I don't even know she'd be an Earthbender. I know she'd be in the Earth Kingdom and probably have a tea shop with Iroh. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
For me, let's be honest, guys.
Fire.
It's fire. It's fire. Yep. But I feel like I don't know. I really love that message with the Dragon Dancers, where it was like, fire is not destruction, fire is life, and I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a good everything could be used for destruction, everything could be used for life. Like, be like water, my friend. Right, Bruce Lee. Like it weaves in and out, but also it's the most destructive force that we've seen. So it's like. That kind of stuff where it's like fire is life. It's the sun, and so but you do some cool, capoeira, breakdancing. I'm down with that. Also, you could jetpack yourself, you know what I'm saying? But also airbenders can do that.
As much as I would like to be an earthbender, I think I relate the most to the air nomads as far as like a lifestyle and what they find important. So it's tough. It's tough for me. Somewhere between those two.
But the thing about Aang, he breaks the rule of the air nomads. Because you'd all have to detach yourself from the physical realm. But then as an avatar, it's like, no, you can't do that. So I'm like, so he can fall in love.
I just want to say I'd be the avatar. Just balance.
No.
That's literally Luke's whole thing, is that the Jedi were told to leave love and compassion, even for not like, it doesn't even have to be like I'm in love with them, but I love them as family behind, because it only hinders you. But what is the thing that has Luke prevail? It's his love for his friends
and hope.
Except
Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon's the most trust your feelings. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Anyway, so now we'll get to rating.
Yeah, so I'm last.
So it's the three of us, Ollie, Tom, and me. I think just
Josh
alphabetical. No, just do it alphabetical, Tom. So Ollie.
I can go first.
Let me guess. Does it start with the f and rhyme with jive?
Is it me?
Yes,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It starts with jive. That's 0 point jive. I'm just kidding.
5.
No, it's a 5. It's a 5. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
It's just a fun show to watch. Like I can't find anything wrong with it, and it's just hilarious and funny, and it's hard to look away. Yeah. I find myself entranced anytime I try to have it on in the background. Nope, I'm watching it. So yeah, highly recommend, and highly recommend Korra as well.
That's a 5 for Ollie.
Josh?
I am also going to name it a 5.
Okay.
This is one of those moments that, one of those shows that for the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking at my phone while watching it. Mm-hmm. It's very easy with
right now.
Huh?
That's how I am with the West Wing right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching it for the first time, and hot damn, is that a good show?
Yeah. It's I mean, some shows they're interesting, but you can still kind of look at your phone, maybe look things up. Even IMDb being the thing that you're watching. Mm-hmm. With
looking
this, I was watching. I was like, I'll IMDb this later. I need to watch this. And my qualms, they don't. It's like a coming. Yeah. They come and they go. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Same with mine. Yeah, I don't think anyone had any qualms here that actually affect their score.
Yeah.
Tom, should I put you down for a 5 or?
You should put me down for a 5, motherfucker.
Do you want a number 5?
Uh-oh.
Goodbye, Corey. It was nice. I'll see you in hell.
Corey.
Oh no.
He's gonna be a 4.8.
Yep.
Boom, because of Korra.
Can't see it. 4.8.
Because of Korra.
It's not because of Korra, but it didn't help. It's not. It honestly isn't. It didn't. That added on top of it, but this was never a 5 for me. I think maybe when I was younger it was, but I unfortunately have outgrown parts of it.
I had the opposite.
That's how it is.
As a kid, I was like, it's not that great. And then as an adult, I'm like, oh my
God. Yeah, I don't know. I would 100% watch a Toph spinoff though.
Ooh. I would watch any spinoff that comes from this. Like, let me see Zuko find his mother. Let me see like Katara and Sokka go back to the Water Tribe. Let me see, like what happens to Azula. Let me see what happens to the Suki and the Kyoshi warriors. Like, I want to see Iroh in his shop. Like, stop some like street level crimes.
The history of the Cabbage Man. There is a history of the Cabbage Man.
There you go.
But yeah, so 4.8 for me. Only. I think I think this is one of the best animated shows I've ever seen. There are a few that rate above it, and I just found myself in some of the more childlike humor parts, kind of not bored, but unamused. It would throw my bewilderment away for a moment. And that's all. That's really all it comes down to. Other than that, I think this show is phenomenal. And like you said, I don't think I've seen another finale that's been as satisfying as this one. So 4.8. I'm the grump at 4.8. I'm okay with
it's
that.
a really high number. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's it, baby.
That has been our episode on Avatar: The Last Airbender, probably the most requested topic ever in our 3 years. Everybody at home,
lifted off my shoulders.
Everybody at home, tell us what you thought of Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Reach out to us. I mean, the Discord is really kind of the best place to continue the conversation, but if you're not into that type of thing, feel free to slip and slide into our DMs. All of our social media is Nerd on TV, so check it out.
Or comment it in the reviews.
Yeah. If you are new to Nerd On, check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all of the information on everything that we do, all of our different podcasts. We do a lot. There's also YouTube. All of these episodes go to YouTube. There are video versions. Check that out. Our Twitch, we're streaming several times a week, so do check that out. And it's a variety of different games, different hosts.
Variety bending.
Variety bending. This is a fun episode. I'm glad that we got to do it. Oh, yeah, one more thought. Share us with your friends and your family. It's
your whole nation.
The whole world, whether it's the Fire Nation, the Earth Nation.
That's the nation I want to be a part of, the Nerd On Nation.
There it is. Nerd bending.
Nerd bending.
Real quick, though, I thought Aang was going to discover gravity bending. And I thought that was going to be really baller, but energy bending was a little bit more for the story. I'm just saying.
And do stop by, rate, and review us. That kind of stuff is little known, but it does actually help us. Reviews show others that people are listening and they like it. It's good stuff.
We do this for you.
Do consider joining the Nerd On Nation. Like I said at the top, helps us grow, helps us create more content, because that's what we really like to do. We love creating content for everybody at home, all the members of the Nerd On Nation, all that stuff. But we heart you. Hope you're well. You know the drill. As always, Nerd On.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.